better. That song's coming out nicer than I thought it would. So, yeah, I'm holding the iPhone up to the microphone, people. I'm on the road. What's going on, everyone? I'm for my non-sequential podcast that I put out on a non-regular basis, which is probably why no one's really catching on to him, but we're going to see what we can do. I'm here with my friend Anthony again, not the regular Anthony you used to. You've heard him before on a podcast, barely, but here you're going to hear him a little bit better on today.
Yeah, I'm on the right side of the mic this time, so you might actually hear my voice for a change.
If I know how to upload this properly. But
I have no hope in that. So.
Neither do a lot of people. So we're back. Last time we were together, we spoke about, we were actually, it was like in September, went to that Renaissance Festival, and but we also touched on a little bit video games, and that's one of the topics, we both like to talk about.
Absolutely.
Is video games, vintage video games. For you kids out there listening, that means going way back to probably before you were born, Nintendo, Super Nintendo, stuff like that.
Yes, when there were things called cartridges that had 8 kilobytes of wonderful fun on them.
Yeah, and you couldn't just get them anytime you wanted because they weren't downloadable. You actually had to go to the store, buy them, hopefully have your parents buy them. In my case, think it's sold out, see it on the rack, and then have a guy take it and give it to somebody else.
Or apparently if you went to a New Mexico desert, you can dig up a specific game where there were thousands upon thousands of them buried.
If you want to play the worst game ever made. And one of them just sold for like 15,000, I think.
Yeah, it was actually unearthed complete in its box.
Yeah, but true, yes, but also that
it's a piece of history.
It is, but also they tried playing it off like they discovered it when everyone knew that it was in the New Mexico desert.
Well, I mean, the whole idea behind that, and for those of you who don't know what we're talking about the infamous E.T. Atari 2600 cartridge that the company at the time had made more cartridges than there were systems because they were that arrogant to believe that one game could sell more systems. And when the game came out and was absolute crap, based off a very successful Steven Spielberg movie, they decided to bury them in the New Mexico desert. Now, I forgot what you were asking.
We were just kind of, we just kind of trailed off. But how they were discovered, everyone knows about this. It's common knowledge, if you know games, that Atari just buried these. Because also at the same time that the video game crash hit. So that didn't help either.
Yeah, but the other thing about it was that it was a myth at the, for a while.
For a bit, yeah.
Yeah, for a while. No, for years.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody knew if it was true or not until these guys came around and did the documentary to see if it was real or not, and then obviously they found out that it was, and they didn't dig up as many as everybody thought. They buried millions of them there. They found a few thousand.
Yeah, a lot.
But still, the fact that they were, buried, it just really speaks to...
Oh, totally. Yeah, that's what you did in the 80s. If you didn't know what to do with it, you just buried it.
Yeah, you just buried it. And
New Mexico desert, end zone of Giant Stadium. Either way, you got rid of your problem by burying it.
Yeah, but that's kind of what happens in Las Vegas a lot. But, it's not exactly video games that are buried in those deserts.
The one thing I hate about it, though, is that company, I forgot the name of the company, but that it's a documentary. I think it's specifically about the E.T. games, about the burying of the E.T. But first of all, that's going to be for free on Xbox Live.
Right.
When it comes out.
The whole documentary just focuses on that.
But it just, like I said before, it just drives me nuts how they're trying to make it like, they found this out of nowhere when everyone knew about it. You watch the Angry Video Game Nerd movie, it's based on the whole thing.
Well, no, they never...
Oh, hello.
They never said that it was... They never said that they found it out of nowhere. They basically...
that's how it came off to me.
No. The whole point of the documentary was the fact that they knew the story and they wanted to prove if it was true or not. That's all. So, and the fact that, obviously going in, they had to have known it was true, because if you're going to the desert to dig up something, considering the size of the desert and the fact that they knew exactly where to look...
True.
Makes you wonder, how much did they know or not know?
Yeah,
and obviously they knew that it was there.
Knew big time. But going back that far, and and I have a copy of E.T. right now. The sole reason why I bought it is just to have it. I don't even have an Atari.
I think I have 2 copies.
But and there is a strategy to the game. Amazingly, there is something to do. In the game, which I never knew.
You can beat the game in about 5 or 6 minutes if you know how to beat it.
And nice segue. Beating games. I'm gonna be the first to admit, I don't beat games. There's a
Yeah, I know that.
ton of games.
You own more games, I think, than most
Sure
human
do.
beings, and you're surprisingly bad at them.
It's my need of want. But in any event, but I do remember my first game I've ever beaten. Let me ask you, what was the first game you remember clearly beating, and do you remember like your reaction when it happened?
Oh man,
Because I remember mine vividly.
Well, I go back to the Atari days, and to be honest with you, I don't remember if any of those games were specifically beatable.
Yeah,
Because I
right.
feel like after like 4 or 5 levels, you just started repeating, so it just kept going until you basically died. So if I have to go back to first game, it would be NES, and it would be pretty much the obvious one. It's Super Mario Brothers.
Okay.
32 levels of pure unadulterated running around jumping on Goombas and, beating Bowser 8 times and finding the genderless Toad at the end of 7 of those levels until you finally found the princess. I think that was the first game I ever beat, and I remember being so happy about it. And once I had it beat the first time, it was like a thrill to go back and do it over and over again. And then, of course, finding the warp zones and all that stuff was just, extra added fun.
Totally.
But yeah, got to be Super Mario on NES.
All right. I remember, and again, I remember this like it was yesterday. For me, it was Contra.
Contra.
The first Contra. Finally got through it. I remember
Yeah, but you
getting...
cheated.
No, I don't think I knew the economic... yeah, maybe I did.
You had to,
But-
because there was no way you were doing it on 3 lives.
No, you're right. But it doesn't matter. It's still a beat. 30 lives, 3 lives. Either way, it's a win.
Uh-huh.
So, because I can still lose 30 times getting there.
That's very true, but that's a tainted victory.
well, in
Not
any
to,
event.
not to step on your childhood
No,
dream.
clearly, yeah.
There,
Yeah, this is
beating it.
my show. But I remember when I finally beat the game, and trust me, I was nowhere near 30 lives by the time I got it through that game. I just remember getting to the final level, the whole alien horde showing up on you.
Yep.
And then you get to the end, and it's just a giant beating heart. And I remember it was in my room. My parents were just off doing something, and I finally get to that heart. I remember my heart was racing because I knew it was the end. Finally got through it, and I remember just, like, I ran out of the room screaming, like, I beat this game! I was running around. I was maybe 7, or 8 when did the game
You
come
didn't
out?
have many friends.
No,
did you?
none whatsoever.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So, growing up an only child, I pretty much had to entertain myself. And then I remember being, like, so nervous. I was, like, almost shaking. Like, I was so happy. And then we got square pizza that night, which for some reason was a specialty in our house. Not the regular pie, but the square pie.
So a square pie was your reward for beating.
Well, I got to pick what we got for dinner. So,
I
yeah.
gotcha.
But
wow.
I just
that
remember...
that is special on so many non-levels.
In my household, yes, very much so. And I just remember just being so... Not panicky. It was like almost like when you. I don't know how to explain it. I just remember, for me, it was like just the biggest thing that happened up in my life up to that time, and for a short life, for where nothing is supposed to happen, it was pretty memorable. And then I beat it a couple times thereafter, but that will always be kind of the first one. And I know a lot of people actually, like I've read online, with reviews of Contra. More often than not, that's usually the first game that people beat, probably because of the Konami code. But still, nevertheless, it was still beaten. I didn't beat Super Mario Brothers at that time, so...
Have you beaten it?
Super Mario Brothers? Yeah.
Okay.
But
I'm just checking, because I don't know what you have and haven't finished. I don't think you've finished much. So.
No, I'll clearly admit that, because it's just, just to play, really just have fun. But I can never get through Super Mario Brothers. I can never get through the final castle because of the different ways you have to go. So I remember I beat that finally when like tip books came out.
Okay,
So.
yeah, that was just trial and error.
Yeah.
And, anything back then could be solved with the good old Nintendo Power magazine.
Yeah, or calling the number.
Or calling the hotline.
Yeah.
That's right, where they used to have people sitting at little cubes, kind of like, kind of like they do today when they call you to offer you a new phone, new phone deal or something like that. But, these nice little people sitting at their cubes with a friggin' binder full of tips and tricks on how to beat games. Kind of like what you saw in the movie The
I was just
Wizard.
going to say, I'm assuming you're getting that from The Wizard.
Yeah, no, but, that's pretty much how it used to work with those hotlines, is that people would just sit there. I
remember those.
That's how those worked.
Never called it, but I do remember.
I did call it
Did
once.
you really? It was a 900 number, too.
Yeah, and do you know what game I called it for? It was something we were actually talking about earlier today. I called it for Castlevania 2, Simon's Quest. Because I got to a point where I did not know what to do, which almost everybody did in Castlevania 2 because they never gave you proper instructions.
No, Castlevania 2, yeah, that game was horrible as far as knowing what to do.
And I loved that game. It's just that you got to a point where you didn't know what to do. And I remember calling the Nintendo hotline to give me the clue of, for those of you who, probably none of you or very few of you ever played that game, there's a part in the game where you actually had to kneel by a wall for 5 seconds for a tornado to pick you up and carry you to the next...
With the red ring, or whatever it was,
with
red
the
ring
red
or
orb.
stone, yeah.
Right. But the wall is just standing there, and nobody ever tells you that you have to go there and kneel by it while holding this red orb. So unless somebody told you because they've done it before, or unless you had if it was in Nintendo Power or something like that, because there was no internet then.
Nope.
So you couldn't go online to find the answer. You had to call the Nintendo hotline, which is what I did to get that answer.
Or sometimes the classifieds. I remember I discovered the Konami code in that classified section in Nintendo Power that had it was like a 2-page spread of tips, tricks, and, and stuff.
I remember
That's
that.
where I discovered the Konami code. Before it was called the Konami code.
Yep, and now it is the infamous Konami
That's
code,
it.
right?
Now,
Everybody knows
and it
that
don't
game.
work on any Konami game anymore.
No, because then it's just a dead giveaway. I mean,
What
where's
makes
the
it fun. And depending on what system you use, it may not necessarily be BA.
That's also very true.
So, and it was, I always forget, it's definitely up, down, left, right. Was it BA start or just BA start?
No, just BA start.
That's right. I think some games were BA.
No, I think you were able to get away with the double
Yeah.
BA, but you didn't need to do it. It was just BA once, and you were fine.
Gotcha.
So
BA, BS, it's all the same.
yeah, pretty much.
And then, in a segue here, me and my buddy here, we were just talking earlier, and these games, the Lego franchise, Warner Brothers and Take-Two games.
Yep.
I don't know what's going on over there. Put out all these Lego games. Started with Lego Star Wars, and then it has everything: Lego Pirates of the Caribbean, Indiana Jones, Marvel superheroes,
Harry Potter.
Harry Potter. Recently, which I recommend to everyone, Lego Batman 3: Beyond Gotham. The game is fantastic. It is. I would say it could be considered a kids game because you never die in it. But what is your take on just the Lego games overall?
Well, I mean, I gotta say, as I've been getting older, and I'm not that old, but as I've been getting older and my responsibilities have increased, because you gotta have a job and earn a living and take care of all this, all these meaningless things that take up a lot of your time. It's hard to play a lot of the hardcore games I used to play, or the ones that would take me 60, 70, the 60, 70 hour games to complete. So I started hitting up the Lego games because the cool thing about the Lego games is that they're very casual, they're very fun. They feel like a throwback because of the look. It's kind of like it's the bright colors, it's the simplistic design of the characters,
The goofiness.
yeah, the goofiness of it, and just the whole idea of you can sit down and play it for 15 or 20 or 30 minutes and then, leave it and go back later and just pick up where you left off and it's fine. Unlike, if you're playing a game like a Skyrim or if you're playing, like a Zelda or something like that, it's, if you leave it for more than, a couple of weeks and then you go back, it's like you gotta try and remember. It's like, what did I do? Where did I leave off? Oh crap! What was the current mission I'm doing or whatever? With the Lego games, they don't seem to have that issue. You can just kind of pick it up and play, and that's what's cool about it. And the fact that they've been getting more and more like deeper and deeper in terms of like how many characters you can play and everything like that. And now they actually added voice to it. Although
I think they started out with Batman 2, and
was it Batman 2 or Lord of the Rings?
Oh,
I think Lord of the Rings was
maybe
the first one, but that one was weird because they actually took the audio from the movie.
Oh, did they?
They didn't create original audio, so they actually just took the actual film audio. But I feel like the silent ones were more fun.
Yes. When they first started the especially the two Star Wars, which is the original trilogy and the new trilogy, you're right. It wasn't no voice. Again, it was goofy. They played on themselves, kind of made fun of themselves, which is a whole part of the Lego games, and it worked. And yeah, you're right with the voice. I don't know. It just kind of it brings it to a more I don't know. It took something away from it. Not a lot. Just took a little bit away from it.
No, I agree, because I feel like with the silent ones, especially like my personal favorites at the moment were the Harry Potter ones. Lego Batman 2 also. But the Harry Potter ones, what was so cool about that was, I'm a Potter fan. I read the books and I've seen the movies. But the fact that you could not use audio, or at least, they weren't, I should say the characters weren't talking. The developers had to come up with creative ways to show things, to explain what was going on. And I feel like that was like part of the whole magic of the Lego franchise games. Just watching how they got the story across without the characters talking was insanely fun. I loved watching that play out. When I got to play Lego Lord of the Rings, I felt that's when I started to feel like it wasn't that something was missing, it just felt that it was a little bit lacking, because they were relying now on the actual dialogue to tell the story. And I felt like, that did take away from it a little bit.
Yeah, true. But luckily they
still
made
fun,
up with
though.
it. Yeah, made up
They're
with
still
everything
fun.
else. Now it's over 100 characters. I'm looking here at Lego Marvel Superheroes, over 100 characters. Is definitely over 100 characters in Batman 3, including...
Batman 2, I think, had over 100 characters, or close to it.
Yeah, it was
as well.
a ton of them. And we're talking like anywhere from henchmen all the way up to like supervillains and stuff. Batman 3's even got Conan O'Brien, Kevin Smith, so they have real people in it as well.
That's fun.
To round it out, I think Stan Lee's in it. Adam West is actually in. You have to find in Batman 3. Adam West is trapped somewhere like on every level, and you have to try and find him. Granted,
That's awesome.
Sometimes you have to go back once you unlock someone, but
but still, that's just a lot of fun.
It's pretty funny.
Well, and especially with like the Marvel and DC franchises, you have so many. If you just look at the DC and the Marvel universe, there's like such a deep well of characters to pull from that 100 characters isn't even maybe
Not
not
a
even
lot.
a quarter. Yeah, not even
Honestly.
a quarter of their universes. So it's like. Just imagine what the next version of the game could be and how many characters can be in it. It's absolutely insane.
It will be unending.
Pretty much, more or less.
But I definitely...
Which this conversation sounds like it's getting.
Yeah, pretty much we're getting there. So, I would say, definitely as far as the Lego games, Batman 3, which is brand new, but I still think it's one of the top 3. I still like the original trilogy for Star Wars. And I actually like the first Indiana Jones Lego. I didn't play Potter, I didn't play Pirates of the Caribbean, but those would be like my top 3.
Potter's definitely worth playing. I highly recommend it. Even if you're not a big fan of the books, just the overall theme of it was fun. The top ones for me were definitely Potter, Batman, and I'm trying to think of what the third one is. I don't know if I have a top 3. I guess at this point it would be the Lord of the Rings one. I wasn't a big fan. Indiana Jones was
Lord
okay.
of the Rings, I forgot about that.
Yeah, Indiana Jones was okay. I played through it. It was fine. It was one of the earlier ones, so it was like they were still trying things out. So once you play, I think, one of the later Lego games, it kind of going back to that one's a little, it's a
tough.
little, it's a little tough. Pirates one I didn't care for at all, but I wasn't a big fan of the movies, so to even play through the Lego version of it wasn't enjoyable for me. So, definitely the Harry Potter franchise, the Batman franchise, and, I know I'm behind the 8 ball here with Lego Marvel since it came out a year ago, but I'm actually looking forward to sitting down and playing that. But I'm behind on all my video gaming now.
You can always pick up at any time. So
yeah, and when you pick them up a year later, it's always great because they're $20.
That is true. Very, very cheap.
Yeah.
So, pretty much, again, we always keep these short and sweet, or at least short. And, but that's, again, we just kind of want to give you a take on that. Anthony does a lot with, he loves the vintage video games. You still have the Nintendo.
I'm staring at my original NES right now and all my games because I took them out for my sister to play. Because she is a big fan of
There
this.
you go. And mine were destroyed in a hurricane, so there you go. Thank God for the Wii U Virtual Console.
Wait. So the Wii U Virtual Console. I was going to say, did you lose your what was that 3D one? Virtual Boy.
Virtual Boy?
Is that?
I did. I don't care what anybody says. The Virtual Boy, I still enjoyed.
You are the only person on the planet I think that bought that
one of
system.
5 people probably. Only 29 games in total came out for the system, and I still think it had potential for 1996.
Yeah, no, that went the way of the Sega CD, my friend.
Oh, Sega CD, come on. That's for next time. We'll talk about that. But that's good. horrible game systems for a short amount of time. You know the guy who invented the Virtual Boy is the guy who created the Game Boy, and they fired him so fast when the Virtual Boy flopped.
Well, because they spent so much money designing a gaming system that took years, and then it came out and nobody bought it. It would only make sense that he got fired.
It wasn't for a portable system. It wasn't portable.
You had to sit there and stick
You did.
You had to sit there and stick your face into the gaming system.
One of two things. It looked like a VR helmet, an old school VR helmet. Either you had it on the stand with the legs, and you had to crouch into it, or if you were able to do it, you have to lay down and balance it on your head.
Yeah, absolutely ridiculous. There's no way. I understand that we were trying to, they were trying to go to that virtual reality phase, but let's face it, in the mid '90s, we weren't there yet.
Yeah, no, not yet.
Absolutely not.
Rain, so.
I'm sorry. Life isn't Tron.
Though the Wario Land game on that was phenomenal, and they should remake it on the 3DS. That's just my 2 cents.
That's your 2 cents. Nobody else played it.
And with that being said, folks, now I wish I had it. Now I gotta go find it. Anyway, well, Anthony, thank you very much. Here we had, some good stuff. Talking about video games and stuff like that. We're gonna try and do this a little more often. As soon as I can figure out how these programs work and how to get this stupid show on iTunes.
Yeah, normally you get more fans when you do these things regularly.
Yeah, and on iTunes.
Yes.
So, I love Spreaker and all. But with that being said, folks, God knows when I'll talk to you again. So everyone have a happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Turkey Day.
Yep, and I will talk to you soon. Since we were talking about Batman, let's try to see if we get this to work.
Well, you can get anything to work with a good old cell phone.
Yeah, but I also should have loaded this. So
yeah, you probably should have. See, this is why you need to be a little bit more prepared.
Yeah, I'm very
before you
unprofessional.
do these things.
Take care, everybody.